Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Today we're going to talk about self-awareness. So let me ask you this question. Do you know who you are? Do you know your strengths? Do you know your limitations? Do you know your capabilities? Do you know your weaknesses? Now, in the topic of emotional intelligence, we've discovered that there's 5 pillars of emotional intelligence. And under these 5 pillars of emotional intelligence, there's also 25 subcategories of emotional intelligence. And in this video, we are going to learn about self-awareness. So let me give you my definition of self-awareness. My definition of self-awareness is recognizing and understanding your moods. It's understanding your emotions. It's understanding what drives you as well as the effects that it has upon you. Now, as we look at self-awareness, there's 3 sub-factors, and we're going to explore these 3 sub-factors because the greater clarity you have in these 3 areas, the easier it is for you to succeed. Because once you understand who you are and what you're capable of becoming, you start to have this boost in confidence. So let's have a look at emotional awareness. Emotional awareness is recognizing your emotions and their effects. The interesting thing about an emotion, emotions just come and go really, really quickly. They say that somewhere between 3 and 90 seconds, from 3 seconds to 90 seconds, we'll experience an emotion. However, if we're in a certain feeling and it lasts longer than 90 seconds, oftentimes we're stuck in a mood. And we have to have this level of emotional awareness. Now, knowing which of the emotions you're experiencing is very important. Here's the rule. If you can't name it, you can't tame it. If you don't know which emotion is controlling your actions or influencing your actions right now, it's almost impossible for you to get out of that emotional state. So let's have a look. Knowing your emotions is key to success. And we have 12 core emotions. Now, the majority of the population can't identify with these 12 emotions. It's not their fault. It's simply that they just haven't been taught. And to be honest with you, my parents never sat down and educated me on the different emotions. Yes, I got in trouble when I was angry. Yes, I was told to lift my chin up when I was sad. Yes, I understood when I was scared. But there were only 3 out of the 12 major emotions. So let me map these out. The first of these 12 emotions is the emotion of interest, followed by joy, surprise, sadness, anger, disgust, contempt, self-hostility, fear, shame, shyness, and guilt. And these are the 12 major emotions. Now, we say 12, other people say 24, other people say 30. Yes, there are many more emotions, and there's minor subcategories. For example, there's 12 types of anger. Another example, there's 5 different fears, and there's 5 different types of guilt. These are the main ones, and we have to be able to identify these as we go throughout our life and throughout our business. Now, the next part, we have to be able to make links between what you think, between what you do, and also what you say. This is really important when it comes down to emotional intelligence. So your explanatory style, your self-talk, the way that you talk to yourself influences 95% of your feelings. So being emotionally aware enables us to have the link between what we think and what we do, and also with what we say. So I want you to think about this. I want you to imagine that you're in business, and I want you to imagine it's time to sell one of your products and services. Now, if you're in the sales process and you think somebody is going to reject you, what happens? Just the thought of thinking that somebody's going to say no to you can trigger the emotion of fear. So let's unpack this. So what tends to happen when people think they're going to get rejected in sales? So what happens is, first of all, they think they're going to get rejected. It's not a reality. They just think they're going to get rejected. And so what they do is they often stop presenting. And then they say, the reason why I stopped presenting was because the customer wasn't even interested. However, that's not the reality. The reality is they thought they were going to get rejected. So they stopped presenting. And then they said, this person's not interested anyway. Now, recognizing how our feelings impact our performance is critical if we want to start to climb that ladder of success. So let me ask you, how does fear impact your ability to prospect? Imagine if you have to prospect, which is going out and looking for new customers. Imagine you have a fear of rejection. How does that fear of rejection impact your ability to prospect? Imagine you've done all the hard work and now it's time to present. And then you start to think, have I wasted my time? Am I speaking to the right people? Do they even have any money? What can happen here is you might talk yourself out of the sale, and you've got to recognize this. It only happens in a split second. We've got to be able to recognize it. How does fear impact your ability to present? Oh, excuse me. And finally, how does fear impact your ability to close a sale? I want you to consider this. The fear of rejection is the greatest fear for the salesperson. And it also is 80% of the reasons why salespeople don't ask for the order. So imagine you have a fear of rejection. You've done the prospecting, you've done the presenting, and now you've got to ask for the order. But all of that fear comes up. So we have to be able to have systems in place, and especially different ways to respond to ensure that this fear doesn't get in the way of our outcome, which for this example would be a successful sale. Daniel Spear, good afternoon. Welcome to Accelerate and Multiply. I hope you're doing well there. Melissa, wonderful to see you also. Now, having a guiding awareness of your values is also important. Values are what are important to you. From your values comes your beliefs. From your values comes your motivation. And you've got to understand why you think and feel the way that you do. If you don't understand the way why you think the way you do, if you don't understand why you feel the way that you do, then what will happen is you'll find it very difficult to get motivated. And you have to be able to recognize this within yourself. So let me ask you the question. What's important to you? What is important to you about working? What's important to you about your career? What's important to you about money? And if you haven't found your answer yet, then what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to focus on improving this area of emotional intelligence. Remember, self-awareness is understanding why you think and feel the way that you do. Self-awareness is understanding what drives you. And once you understand and you can articulate what drives you, you can have explosive motivation. You can start to do more in a week than most people will do in a month. I know people who do more in a month than most people would do in a year, simply because they understand what drives them and what motivates them. In addition, what are your goals? You know, it's that time of year. It's almost December, coming up to January. We're going to have New Year's resolutions. What are your goals? And why are these goals important to you? Now, when you're developing your emotional intelligence, especially in the area of self-awareness, these are the things that you start to focus on. So, what questions do you have for me? What questions do you have so I can help you accelerate your impact? What questions do you have so I can start to help you unleash these new income levels that you want? I know for a fact that in January 2022, You're going to set an income goal. I absolutely guarantee you're going to have goals for incomes. You're going to have goals for health. You're also going to have goals for relationships. So begin the thinking process now and make sure you leave a question in the comments box below and let me help you make 2022 the best year yet. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me today, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Ciao for now.